Awesome. Well, we'll get started on this. Coaches, I'm extremely excited to be able to chat with you all today just about some recruiting tips and your experience. We have coaches from a lot of different levels here, so excited to dig in on how recruiting is similar, but also different for each of your programs, and hopefully learn a little bit about each of your programs on this journey too. So I can start with intros, and then we'll kind of go around the room. Coach Held, we'll start with you, and then kind of work our way through. So I'm Greg Nelson. I'm VP and General Manager here at Hudl. I've been working at Hudl for over 11 years, worked on every football product imaginable, including recruit. So I've had my fingers in a lot of things, and excited to get this feedback from you all and figure out how we can kind of take recruiting to the next level. So Coach Held, why don't you start with introductions? Give us kind of your, obviously, school and role, and then kind of what your background and recruiting areas are.
Greg, I appreciate you having me on. My name is Ryan Held. I'm the running back coach, recruiting coordinator at Nebraska. We're going into year 4 here. Previously, I was at UCF with Coach Frost as running back coach. And then before that, I've been a D2 head football coach in various places. And then most recently, I was a head coach in the junior college level. So I've been a head coach at 5 different places, and I've been at the Division I level now, going on year 6. So it's been a heck of a ride, and I've had a lot of experiences in recruiting at different levels, and I'm just I feel blessed to be on the deal today to be able to help high school coaches.
Awesome, appreciate it. Coach Jackson, why don't you take it away next?
Yeah, Greg, fired up to be here. I'm Dan Jackson from Northern Illinois, defensive pass game coordinator, coach the defensive backs, and then I coach our special teams as well, coordinate those. So actually from Omaha, Nebraska, so fired up to be on with you. I know Hudl, kind of got to start down there and those sort of things. And then before coming to Northern Illinois, I was at South Dakota State and had a bunch of roles there, but was a Jackrabbit for 7 years prior to being at NIU, and love being a Husky.
Awesome. Coach Sandlin, why don't you round us out?
Excellent. No, I appreciate it, Greg. Thank you for putting this on, and hopefully it'll help a lot of high school coaches and high school recruits. I'm J.R. Sandlin. I'm the senior executive head coach, recruiting coordinator, tight ends coach here at Jacksonville State. I believe it's going on 7 years now. Before coming to Jacksonville State, I was at the University of Notre Dame, where I worked in the recruiting office for the 2013 season. Before that, I was director of recruiting at Tennessee, and then I got my start at the University of Alabama 2010, 11, and 12. I was a recruiting GA my first 2 years there, and then was able to run the recruiting office that final year there. But really excited about to be on.
Nice. And just so we're here, just so everyone's clear out there, Jacksonville State, Alabama, not Florida. Got to make sure you get that right. You guys have been building a brand for yourself.
That's right.
I feel like
we're right here in Alabama.
Yeah. So awesome. I'm super pumped to have you three on, because I think you guys do a great job recruiting first and foremost. And then some of the content that I see you all put out and the interactions that I know you have with high school coaches are just top notch across the board. So I'm really excited about the group that we pulled together. My goal with this session is to kind of demystify the recruiting process a little bit. Maybe you guys get to pull back the curtains a little bit, and by sharing your thoughts, we can hopefully make the overall recruiting process a little bit more efficient for you, more effective for the student athletes, which I think is what we're all shooting for. So I want to start kind of high level before we jump into some of the individual questions. And I want to start with just a question about the recruiting process and your experience working with high school coaches. So I want to kind of play both sides of this question. And Coach Sandlin, we'll start with you, come back and work our way back up through this. But what's one thing about the recruiting process you wish high school coaches knew about the recruiting process that would make your job easier? And then same question about the athletes. Like, what pieces do you see them most unaware of during the recruiting process?
Well, I think the first thing for a lot of high school coaches would start by doing a lot more workout film, a lot more of that drill, take, combine film. Because if you think about it, when we send coaches out on the road to go see these individuals live, that's what we're going to be seeing. It's also a lot of the same drills they're going to be doing at the football camps, where you really want to see the individual move in space. I mean, you get to watch so much game film of these individuals and highlights and cut-ups, but then there's a lot of specific drills and that you really want to see how John Doe really moves his body in space. And it's not, you see a lot of the workout film where they do bench press and squats and power cleans. That's good and everything, but we're talking about true workout drill take, position specific to that position. And then secondly, for the high school kids, I think one of the things high school kids don't realize is, I tell them all the time, don't look at a highlight film and try to compare yourself. Never compare, but you need to look at the standard, because there's literally almost 19,000 high schools out there across the country. And just because you're in this one little pond, and more importantly, like, if you want to know what they're taking, go look at the last class they signed. Like, for example, if you think you can go to an FBS Power 5 school or a Group of 5, well, go look at those programs and see who they signed last year. Now, again, don't compare yourself to those individuals, but use them as a standard and watch that film and see how you compare, where you could improve your game. But it kind of gives you a good baseline to say, okay, these are the ones that they took. It's no different where the college kids here, I want to go to the NFL. Well, do you know the top 5 players taken in the draft last year at your position? No. Probably need to start there to see who was taken, because they are setting the standard who they're taking.
Yeah, awesome. Coach Jackson, at the Group of 5 level, what are the kind of coach and player pieces that you wish they knew a little bit more about?
Yeah, I mean, I was a former high school coach, kind of prior to getting my start in the college game, and so a lot of things that I wish I would have known are really building off what Coach said in terms of the workout film and those things. One thing that to expand on that we've done is really to get some verified heights and weights and hand size and arm length and those things included in those films. We want to see the guys move around. We want to see them bend. We want to see their flexibility. We want to see their speed and those sort of things. But really, to just have a legit film made of yourself, you could be standing right there with a tape measure and have somebody just do a video that way. But so it's the height, it's their weight certainly, but then just even things that we want to use to project in terms of your wingspan and your arm length and your hand size, all those things right now, especially during the pandemic when we're not able to get out and truly get eyes on these kids, is crucial. It's imperative to be able to kind of elevate your players recruiting. So maybe start, a lot of guys are on social media now, but maybe have a social media page and you're posting your kids' things on there, or you're, something where the kids can access it, college coaches can access it, and then you can easily get that information out, make it easier on yourself too as a high school coach, knowing that you're busy throughout the day teaching too. And then for players, I think, it's kind of simple. I mean, you need to have a level of patience with recruiting as well, and take care of your business every single day. And as Coach mentioned, focus on the things that you need to get better at, you need to improve upon, understand your weaknesses, and do everything you can to make those things strengths, and good things will happen. The market will speak for itself in recruiting. You want to market yourself and promote yourself, but at the same time, don't lose sight of your performance and your play are going to be what gets you recruited.
Awesome. And Coach Held, you guys get a chance to recruit a little bit more coast to coast probably at Nebraska. What do you see that you think coaches and athletes need to know more about, just from a broad national perspective?
Well, the first 2 coaches did a great job. They kind of killed the thunder that I had, but the accuracy in the height and weight for us, and just the frame score stuff that we look for when we get guys on campus. We really need to have that right for us, because we just can't miss on guys, and knowing those type of things. Obviously, we haven't been able to get out. So just being able to know that, so we can be able to, per position, be able to have that really nailed down. I'm going to have a little different approach to this. For me as a coach, I know going around, and it seems real simple, but it really isn't, is the piece of having the academic transcript and everything there for us when we show up on campus is huge, because the efficiency, when I'm trying to go to 9 or 10 schools, I want to be able to have everything there. When I was a JUCO head coach, my recruiting coordinator had all the stuff there, all the transcripts. Here it is, coach, boom, boom, boom. So it's one-stop shop. I go there. I don't have to go to counselor. I don't have to do this. I can get everything right then. If they would have that consistently for us, that would make my job, and I know the other coaches' jobs, a heck of a lot easier. All right. And then really be accurate with us on injuries. All right. We need to know the injuries of your kids in the past, because I'll tell you, we think we know, and then, oh, by the way, he hurt his shoulder here, and then we don't know that, and then they roll in here, and then now they got to have labeling surgery where they're out for 6 months. So just being upfront on all that kind of stuff would really help in this process, obviously, along with what the other coaches said on, having the video and being able to see the movement positions specific wise. But a one-stop shop, have the academic stuff for us. Boom, I don't have to go to the counselor. and then being accurate in all the other stuff, I think would really help with the players. And this is keeping it real. I don't care. Like, social media is big for us. We're going to look at your social media. I don't care how many offers you have. I don't care. I'm blessed to have my 59th offer. That doesn't matter to us. All right. So don't make it about me. We want guys that are team guys. Now, I get it. Guys want to be able to promote themselves. We're not against that. But counting their offers, we look at your social media, what you retweet, you know, who you follow, all that kind of stuff, your language on there. That goes a long way for us, because you're going to end up being a representation of our institution. So be honest, know what you're looking for in a school. Don't be choosing the school because of the Adidas uniform or this uniform or that. Have the foundational things of the academics, and choose a school because of the core principles that's going to help you become the best version of yourself is what we really want. That's what I would tell a guy. Choose a school for the right reasons, so you're not in the transfer portal because of materialistic things, or the things that don't really, at the end, really don't matter and aren't foundational.
Yeah, and do you have any good tips or tricks, Coach Held, for getting those measurables accurate? Like, is it all right for an athlete to be putting, a quick video at the front of their highlight tape that says, here's me standing next to a tape measure, here's me on a scale, or what are the other ways that you've seen them kind of dial in the measurables?
Well, I think with coaches, and other coaches alluded on it, is if we could get, even just a coach videotaping it. Okay, here's Ryan Held. He's barefoot. Here's our height, and do it that way. We've done it live, right? So I've shown Coach Frost, hey, listen, here's Coach Jones. Here's Ryan Held. Here's what he's coach. He's 6'3" or he's 6'4". But having that would, especially during this time, we can't get there, definitely would help the cause, being able to see the weight, and the height and the arm length and all that kind of stuff. Hand, like Coach Jackson said, all that stuff is going to matter. We would normally do that when they got here, but we're just not able to do it because we can't get anybody on campus.
Yeah, makes sense. Appreciate it. We're going to jump so we talked about the measurables a lot. We're going to jump all the way to the opposite end and kind of focus on the intangibles. I know things like GPA, test scores, height, weight, speed, all those are incredibly important to the evaluation process. And hopefully the athletes are able to provide that information for you during the recruiting process. So let's set those aside for a second. Walk me through, Coach Jackson, why don't we start with you? Walk me through kind of the evaluation you do on athletes on the more intangible pieces. Like, how do you learn about those things during the recruiting process? And how can high school coaches best help you answer some of those questions you might have?
I think having a relationship with the high school coaches is big, and as, Coach Held had mentioned, those guys being honest with you with the measurables and those things are important, but them being honest with you with who they are as a person and how they've impacted the program, whether they're a leader or not, how they handle adversity is huge. Really high school coach at the end of the day, be upfront, be honest, and those sort of things. And we're going to recruit your guys. That goes a long way. In terms of the digging that we do on kids to get to know them, deeper to their core and really find out who they are. That's extremely important to us because, we have a motto and a slogan to doing things the hard way. So we understand that when you come to NIU, it's going to be a deal. We're going to push you. We're going to work you. It's going to be a no frills operation. We want to be a mentally tough team. And so we need mentally tough guys. And so for us, it's really when we first connect with a kid, we're going to ask them, we're going to get to know them. We're going to build a relationship with them. And then we're going to ask them some tough questions. We want to get to know how they're going to respond to those questions. We've got a list of 18 tough questions that, that we've used. And it's something that I've used in the past as well to be able to talk and create dialogue with kids and see how they respond to those questions. And then, it's getting on right now, FaceTimes or when they're able to get on campus, see how they're treating their family and who brought them, along that way, kind of evaluating, are they a respectful kid? Just how do they kind of go about, how do they carry themselves? It's going to be huge to us. And so those things. So we're going to really push and evaluate and see how they handle things when they get difficult. We want tough people, mentally tough kids and those sort of things. So we're going to ask the tough questions. We want those kids to be open and honest and keep it real with us on those things. And so that's kind of our process in terms of the questions we ask, the deeper dive that we do. We're going to involve the high school coach a ton, and then also get to know their families as well. We spend a lot of time getting to know how somebody was brought up, the people that raised them, the people that are involved in their life. We're going to build a relationship with them too, And I think you can tell a lot about a kid and who he is by the people that raised him, the environment he was raised in, and how, you know, how they've been raised basically. And so that's really our process in terms of getting to know them on a deeper level. But beyond, you know, we're going to be checking the social media and those things, as Ryan touched on, to kind of see like judgment. To me, that's more of a judgment deal, and somebody understanding that whatever you put out publicly is going to be out there forever. And so being able to kind of gauge their judgment on things as well.
Yeah. Seems like we have a little bit of a theme emerging, which is just honesty on everybody's account makes things go a lot smoother. So definitely
You, that's for sure.
Coach Held, take us through kind of the evaluation you do on the intangible side.
Well, Coach Jackson was exactly right on the tough questions. I think, you know, that's still an evolving piece of art, so to speak, on what are those questions really entail, because, you know, those are real critical. You know, why are you a good teammate? You'd be interested. It's interesting to see what kids answer to that. You know, what does a good leader look like? Why are you a good leader? How have you handled failure in the past? So like Coach said, those questions are critical. So obviously, and you're going to get the questions out of the kid as you go through that process and really dig deep into them. Obviously, like Coach said, the family element, getting to know them, the decision makers, you know, the people that are going to be major influencers when it's all said and done. One of the things that I think is also important, we all know it as well, but is finding other people that know this person. All right. So even down to the lunch lady, you'd be surprised what you can find out when you go in the cafeteria and ask about Johnny. How is he? You know, how is he in the line? How does he treat people? How does he treat women? How does he treat teachers? The security guard, the secretary at the front desk, when you're sitting there waiting for coach to call you down, you can get a lot of good nuggets. So, you know, for us, I know myself specifically, I really try to, you know, find those people that maybe are not directly with them on a day-to-day basis, but I'm going to find those people because those are the people that you can find something that everything's been really, really good, but then you find two people over here that maybe you find something else out that might be a red flag. So just making sure you're doing the right thing when you're bringing in kids into your program. So those are things. Coach Jackson was right, hit the nail on the head with the tough questions. We're gonna get to know the kid and the parents, but the coaches are going to tell you a lot, but then you can find other nuggets when you're talking to security guards, lunch people, counselors, other teachers, et cetera, that know this individual.
Yeah, spot on. I think Coach Sandlin, you echoed some of the things on a previous call we had together where you're like, let's find the people who aren't invested in the athletes.
Right.
Like
Try
the
to find
coaches
the
obviously
individuals that don't.
Yeah,
trying to find individuals that don't have a dog in the fight, because they're going to be honest with you. They're going to tell you. Think about it. You go to high school, right? So many times you go to the front desk. Well, look, I've been in a lot of the high schools. I know these coaches have been in a lot of these high schools, and those people in the high schools love to talk about gossip. So find the ones that love the gossip. And a lot of them is just the attendance secretary. A lot of it's that mom that's the volunteer in the office. They all know, they all hear. So you ask those questions. I think one of the things, everything the coaches mentioned are spot on. One thing I enjoy doing is emailing the teachers. I mean, and what I'd like to do is you take a transcript. Let's just take Johnny's transcript. He didn't do great in 9th grade English. And then you see what he is, maybe 11th grade English. Maybe you see there's some type of difference where his grades have improved. So email both teachers and ask them the same questions. Where did Johnny sit in class? Did he ask questions? Did he ever come prepared to class? Was he a class clown? Would you want him again? Well, he's coming to our classrooms as coaches. We're teachers. He's all coming to our classrooms. And we're going to be asking those same things. And it's amazing what you can get from those teachers, because, come on, when you're asking someone, again, that does not have a dog in the fight, they take a little pride in what they're going to give that answer. So they're going to give you really good information. And I think it's what it is. You're trying to find those nuggets. You're trying to find, who are you? We see the ability on the film, but we're trying to figure out, who are you? And as they mentioned, ask tough questions. I think everything you do is ask questions to the heart. For example, teammate. Just ask. It's your philosophy. And so many times, towards the end of the recruiting process with some of these guys, you're trying to make tough decisions. Ask them, what's a teammate? Well, it's their definition. And guess what we get to do? Hold you accountable to what you said, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What is hard work? Your definition. I want to hear it from you. What is vision? What is focus? What is integrity? What is character for you? Because those are all your definitions as a human being. And then we as humans, as your coaches, your teammates as well, get to hold you accountable to what you said those things are. Because none of us are recruiting kids expecting them to transfer, expecting them not to play, expecting them to be cancers, expecting them never to graduate and have poor grades. We don't recruit kids expecting all these things that happen, but those do happen. And that's why digging in and understanding who these individuals are behind the ability is so essential, because it's investigating, and you have to do a great job, like the coaches mentioned earlier, on all those counters, because who you are is ultimately who you are, and we have to find all those individuals that have been intertwined with your life to figure out who those, to answer those questions, to make sure, because again, it is a business, and we're bringing an investment in to these programs, to these schools, and we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to bring in the right type of guys. I've heard it before, but more importantly, the individuals that will help excel your program and be the type of faces that you're looking for.
Awesome. I love the focus on character from all three of your answers, and just like trying to tease it out with different people and different interactions. That's awesome. Let's dive into something that's a little bit closer to Hudl's heart, and that's film. So obviously that's our primary focus at Hudl. Our mission is to make every moment matter, and we deliver those moments to recruiters in the form of highlights or game film. And I'm sure you've all spent enough hours in your life already watching game film. You probably don't need to watch another game film if you didn't want to, but talk to me about, and Coach Hudl, we'll probably start with you on this one. Talk to me about where the highlight tape evaluation fits in your process, and just like help us understand the scale of highlights you're watching at, so we can kind of communicate to the athletes and coaches, like how long do they have to make an impression? What are the most important things they need to be aware of when we're building highlight tapes?
Well, I mean, I think the obvious first thing is putting the top plays first, right? To pique our interest. That's the obvious first step. We don't have all day to watch a 45-minute highlight video, so make sure it's very efficient. In the first part of the highlight video of top plays, but within that, we want top plays. But for us, every coach has a specific criteria they're looking for within their position when they're watching the highlight video. So obviously, as a running back, for me, I'm looking at speed, elusiveness, physicality, finishing plays, being able to catch the ball, so the different core, characteristics that I'm looking for. So I'm going to be looking at that in this highlight video. So it's going to be there to spark my interest. Now, that being said, we've been fooled by highlight videos, because to get to the next round, the highlight video can get you to the next round, but then there's a lot more I know we'll talk about later, which is game film, which the game film doesn't lie at the end of the day who that player is in the fourth quarter when they're tired, or if they're down by 30 points, or if they're, something happens or whatever. Are they disciplined? Are they showboating? All that kind of stuff. We don't need music on highlight videos. We don't listen to the music for us. Maybe other coaches do. We don't. It really is the first piece of the evaluation process. For us, that gets you to the next round. That doesn't get you the ultimate committable situation. Now there's some that are no-brainer kids that are top players in America, but still you want to watch that game film to finalize the evaluation. But again, for us, we have every position has certain criteria they're looking for as we go through it to get to the next round. And then it goes to the whole staff as we watch. And so there's a whole process for that I won't get into, but you better put your top plays first for sure, because if you wait to the end, we might not get to the end.
Coach, give us an example of something you've seen on game film that has maybe swayed you in one direction or the other when you're kind of evaluating a kid. Obviously, the highlight's kind of a filter. Then when you're watching game film, what's something maybe you've seen in the past that is either thumbs up, we need to keep moving this kid forward, or thumbs down, we need to stop?
Well, I mean, looking at the fourth quarter piece of it, how is the running back running in the fourth quarter? Is he, he's only had 15 carries, but he's not really a dog, and he's not running for physicality in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line, which I would want. Or he breaks loose and he showboats at the 15-yard line when he doesn't need to, those type of things, because then it's all about me. I don't want a bunch of me guys, when it's all said and done. So, those are things, or a penalty or a stupid block that just was uncharacteristic of what you'd want in your program of when we're talking discipline. So the game film's huge, Joe, because you can be fooled by highlight videos, because really a lot of kids can put together great highlight video, but what does the game film look like? That really ends up being who that player is. And I think that's where, I think throughout the process, everybody's had misses, because I think if they would have dug maybe a little bit deeper into the game film, you might have been able to find out who this player is, overall, compared to maybe what he is when things are going well for him.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Coach Sandlin, give us your insights on where film highlights and game film kind of plug in for you.
It always starts with the highlight film. You want to see, you want to wow the individual. You want to wow the coaches and really turn their heads. Let's just be real here. If you're not turning people's heads, there's how we just mentioned earlier, 19 plus, almost 1,000 high schools out there. What are you doing to separate yourself? Are you wowing the evaluator? And I've told kids in the past, if you have clips that even wowed you, like it wowed you, then you might want to start with that, because that might be a really good starting point. But you're looking for those clips that are those, oh, wow. And really, let's just take a running back, for example. You don't really want to see a kid sweep right, sweep left, sweep right, sweep left, touchdown, 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 touch. It's all the same clips. Like, as Coach mentioned, you're going through a checklist in your head. Can he do this? Can he do this? And this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And you're really adding value. You got to remember, you as the recruit and putting on film, you want to see that you can bring meat to the table. I'm always talking about, hey, is he bringing meat to the table? Bring value. How much value are you bringing? How many times have I seen, let's just, again, using the running back film, not seeing the running back block ever? Not seeing a running back take, within the first couple of clips, not take on a block in space or run over someone in space. How many times did I not see him catch the ball? We're talking about the first 10 clips. There's not even a catch, and you're the running back? Like, hello? So you got to build and do a great job of looking at the position specifics that are needed, and it's so many for each position. I know you and I talked about in the past some of the things that I posted, and like Coach mentioned, we're looking at all these different characteristics, but a lot of times kids don't understand what those characteristics are. But when you tell them, I want your best physical run, I want your best block, I want your best catch in space, in traffic, make someone miss, and they start understanding it a little bit better, because the communication is a little bit different back to their level. But then it does a great job for us where we can get a good view of this individual. But once you watch the highlight film, these highlight films should never be more than 6 minutes. It is a teaser. We've all seen movies. A highlight film is the trailer. It's the teaser. Do we want to go watch the game film, which is the movie? Yes or no? And you really have to answer that question up front, quickly, within just a few clips, because coaches have watched tons of film, and you can tell quickly, is he physical? Is he aggressive? Does he play with tenacity? Is he fast? All those things pretty quickly you can tell on that film within just the first couple of clips. And then it tells the tale when you start watching the game film, as Coach mentioned. So we watch that highlight film first, and then as we move through the process, it is the game film. And then you love watching situational football. I love a third and long, third and short, for the linemen, for the D linemen, for the offensive linemen, for everyone. You love seeing some situational football, because how are you going to respond? How are you going to respond when the situations and the games are on the line and tough situations occur? More importantly, the number one thing I think that you're looking for from that highlight to game film is consistency. He is exactly what we thought he was through the highlight film. He is what he is on this cut. You see that, and I'm just getting even chills saying consistency, because then you know you have something. You're like, yes, he's doing this. Yes, he's playing hard. Yes, he's playing with tenacity. Yes, he's playing with grit. Yes, he's physical all the time. He has a motor, energy, effort, enthusiasm. I love those things, and that's what gets you excited as a coach, because you see the highlight film, the trailer, and then you go see the movie and the game film. You're like, oh yeah, good job, Oscar, offer, let's go.
That's awesome. And I would highly recommend, if for those of you out there who haven't been on Coach Sandlin's Twitter, he has a breakdown for every position of 4 or 5 things that he's got to see in a highlight film. And I think that's a great starting point to be able to build your tape off of. So awesome. Kudos to you, Coach, for putting that out. Coach Jackson, why don't you round us up on the kind of film aspect? What role does it play in your process? And then anything you want to touch on that these guys having around the role that film plays for you?
Yeah, these guys did a phenomenal job. I think, as Coach mentioned, the big thing is having flexibility early too, in terms of, show all the or variation early in terms of all the great things you do. It's not just a long run, long run, long run, long run, long run. Be able to mix that up. And things that you should do are like highlight your speed. Okay, like for a defensive guy, closing speed. Put yourself running somebody down. So highlight your speed first, then physicality. And then something that we're big on, obviously most places are going to be, is fluidity and flexibility in terms of how you move and those things, and can open up and run. And then even though a game film may be a little bit better to see like true effort and those things, put an effort clip there early too, where you're backside and you're chasing somebody down. Their offense, there's a number of ways offensively you can show in a high effort play. So I'll kind of highlight those things early. And then just a little bit different on the game film. One thing that I love doing when I'm watching game film, I'll never forget a kid we recruited. This is probably 8 years ago now at this point. Loved his highlight tape, loved everything about the kid, watched his game film. And he anytime the play was backside, he was darn near walking. It was embarrassing. Well, we love the kid. And so a lot of places see, well, if the effort's not there, we're just going to drop him and move on. One thing that I learned there as a young coach is I called the kid and I talked to him about it. And I said, here's the deal. We love you, man, but these are the things you need to get better at. When this plays backside, I want to see your next week's game. I want to see you fly across the field and make that play. To see, you don't know how kid is coached in high school, and that's not knocking a high school coach, but effort is demanded differently everywhere you go. So I'll never forget, had that discussion with effort with this kid. The next week, watched his game film, and he's flying around the field making plays. So it confirmed to me that he will go hard and he is coachable. And he does have what it takes, rather than just eliminating him off one game film that didn't play hard. Is he able to respond to coaching and take coaching and then be able to go apply it in the next game? I'll just never forget that example. And the kid went on to be a great player for us. But find out why the film may not match, coach him up on it, and then it may say even more about the kid if you have the discussion with him and he doesn't change and he does the same things the following week. In terms of effort and those sort of things. Then you got your answer right there in terms of how much football may matter to them. So that's just a little bit different twist on the game film.
That's awesome. I love that story. Being able to watch the game film, coach the kid up when you're not even the coach on the team, I think it's pretty awesome. That's a great little test run there. Awesome. So we're going to move into a discussion around offers, and I'm really excited for this part because I think each of your schools and coaching staffs has a little bit different strategy on how they go about offering athletes and evaluating athletes. So I would like you to be able to kind of give us a preface on where your program strategy falls in terms of putting out offers, and then help guide the coach and maybe the player on the things that they should be asking during the process that maybe they're not asking right now, or just how a coach or athlete should help kind of evaluate their options out there, given what you guys have experienced. So Coach Sandlin, we'll start with you and we'll go to Coach Jackson next.
I think first thing with us, we're more of a region. I mean, 78% of our kids come from Alabama and Georgia. That's it, high school kids. I mean, 78% of them come from there. So would we really go out to a Wyoming or South Dakota or California? The answer is no, because we also don't have it in the resources to go out that far. We really focus on that 5-hour radius. And that 5-hour radius, you put it right there in Jacksonville, you draw the full circle and you see where you can touch. And you have Atlanta, you have most of the state of Alabama, you have some of the panhandle. So we really focus there first. And from that area, I do something called the offer report. So if anyone picks up an offer, that is just identifying that person is someone we need to watch. Now, also based off the offer, if someone, let's just say Alabama offers, hey, we're probably not going to be in that league. Hey, I'll be looking on the transfer part of it. And let's see if we can get that person. Let's figure out where he's in high school and make sure we get a teammate on our team eventually so he can talk to him. But that's just as a side joke. But I really think you focus on that 5-hour radius first for us. And it hits some of the Tennessee as well. But from there, we're looking for just names, any name, and then start that process of watching the film, watching the highlight like we mentioned before, and then progressing through that process. But it all starts by where we are focusing on that region, where if it's different places, you can send it all out. But I always believe first that the states are really responsible for making sure they've done a really thorough job of looking for all those kids, because we're going to all know the coaches in our states more so than all the coaches in Florida, all the coaches in Mississippi, all the coaches in Tennessee. I mean, we have to do a great job being thorough in our state first. And that's something I've always believed, where the state, if you're going to be a guy, the state schools should probably offer you too. But really, after getting some of those offers, I think you mentioned what some of the questions you should ask. Is that right, Greg? Some of those questions should be like, is it committable? How many are you taking? How many have you offered? Because you could be someone that just got an offer, but they've offered 12. Well, you have an idea now where you are on their board. Now, you might be excited because they just might have stumbled on you, but you kind of get an idea where you are. Also, are they taking a transfer? Are you looking for someone to come in and play now? Because right now, with the portal the way it is, you can take a kid now and he can come help you here in the fall. Well, we all know as coaches, we have to win the now. A lot of times these high school kids are, some of them are guys who can come help you play right away, but a lot of times they're developmental guys because they haven't adjusted to the speed yet. And plus they're an 18-year-old kid or a 19-year-old kid or whatever it is, but they haven't adjusted to the speed of the game. So, are you looking to find someone that can come in and help you play right away? Or is this going to be, developmental? So, I mean, you also want to know, I think the biggest thing that I've seen out of kids, more importantly, kids need to ask when I get the offer, what's the plan for me? Because if the program doesn't have a plan for you, then you really got to ask, what's your place? And if there's not a place, what's your purpose there? And ultimately, if there's no purpose, what's the point? So being detailed and asking, what is that plan for me, is something that's going to be really important, I believe, after getting an offer. Because if you get an offer and you just want to post it, that's great. But you're going to be more frustrated as a human being when you go to any place. It doesn't matter if it's a school, a team, a job, and they don't give you a plan. You'll be like, well, I'm here. What do you want from me? And I think those are some of the questions you should ask on top of.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Coach Jackson, to you, I know your staff has a little bit unique mentality on distributing offers too. So why don't you kind of take us through that and what you would advise they look at?
Definitely. I mean, I think everywhere does it different. And at the end of the day, as long as, you have something that your head coach believes in and he sets the tone and the rest of the staff attacks it and goes all in, there isn't a right or wrong way to do it. Here at NIU, I absolutely love Coach Hammock's approach. And we're not going to be a school that offers a lot of guys. That's just not going to be our process. We're going to start with, first, before anything, we build a profile as a staff. So kids and coaches understand that is not every year are we looking for the same corner, the same receiver, the same quarterback, the same O-lineman. So we will hash it out and hammer it out as a staff. And Coach Hammock is going to have a huge say in that in terms of, okay, so this year, for instance, if let's say you're looking for, we have a polished quarterback, we have another guy developing. We can go out and get a highly rated guy that's going to come in and expect to play early and those sort of things. But what's he going to do if he doesn't win the job right away? Maybe he's in the portal and you just wasted a year of recruiting. So we're going to build a profile of, we want a developmental quarterback that year, potentially. We want a guy that has athleticism and talent and those things, but he needs to be polished up. And we know that. And so then we can hone in on those guys in recruiting. Hey, I'm going to take a big corner. If a kid's not 5'11", this year, we're not going to, hey, that's part of it. And I'm going to hold to that profile and that standard. That doesn't mean that there's not a phenomenal 5'10" kid out there or 5'9" guy that could play for us and be a great player. There certainly are. But we're going to set profiles and then we're going to stick to those things to make sure that when our coaches go out, they understand what they're looking for, who to send on to me, or who should I send on to the O-line coach. So to me, that's a huge part of it for us on our staff, is to build a profile and be able to stick to that, relate to it, so you don't lose your way in recruiting as we go. And then the identification, which obviously there's, Hudl is a huge part of that, right? Watching the film and identifying guys. And, as coach had mentioned, see, hey, this guy got offered from here, there, whatever. There's plenty of different services and ways to identify kids, high school coaches. And then we're going to go through an intense ranking system where, as the area coach, I'm going to rank him. If he passes a certain level, I'm going to pass him to the position coach. He passes that level, he hits the coordinator, then he goes to the head coach. And, we have a simple ranking system. And at the end of that, a kid may come out with an offered grade. But from there, we're not going to just offer him off that grade. Yeah, we loved his tape and we like some of the things we're hearing. But then we're going to build a connection with him, the people of influence in his life, his head coach. We're going to get to know everything we can about him prior to offering. And I think a lot of places, not that it's wrong, but it's different than us, would offer and then start that process. And for us, we're not so worried about being first. We're going to start building that process, and we're going to let the kid know, hey, man, we think you're an offerable player right now. Let's get through let's really get to know each other and get down to it. And then if everything feels right and you feel good about NIU and we feel that kid is now serious about us and we're obviously serious about him, then that's when we're going to move forward with an offer. And our offers only come from the head coach, and that's something that we've done it different at different places. The more I'm around it, I believe in it. I think that it's a positive deal. And for us, it just helps us keep track of, there's kids on, there's times where there's a mix up in communication, or, when I was at South Dakota State, there's different percentages you can offer kids potentially. And, maybe the position coach thought it was a 70%, the head coach thought it was 60%. So we're going to be extremely patient, but with the expectation that when we offer you, there's nothing like you would want to jump in on this, like at the end of we've kind of done our research. You've done your research. So, we kind of expect by the time we offer somebody that, that they're ready to jump in the boat, or at least be extremely serious about us. And then, that's really our process. And then we do explain to kids too, with offers going out there, that once we offer you, a lot of places are potentially going to jump on board after that. We want to explain that to kids too. And that's not right or wrong, but kind of with how we do it, people know when we offer, we're serious. All of our offers are committable, until we fill up and those sort of things. And so that's our process. That it works for us here. Obviously works, differently at different places.
Totally. Coach Held, I'm sure you have a different perspective too. Give us an idea of how Nebraska thinks about it and what your advice is for an athlete evaluating those offers.
Well, we nationally recruit, obviously, here. We're coast to coast into Hawaii. We signed a linebacker from Hawaii this year. So, it's definitely different in our world just because of our population base around us. We don't have huge populations around us to where we can, stick within just region. But I will say this, like Coach Sandlin said, we really want to be great local within, 500 miles here. We don't want to miss a kid in Kansas City. We don't want to miss a kid in Hayes, Kansas, or, wherever, Dodge City, Kansas. We want to be really, really good in Iowa and regionally. So we definitely start there. We take a lot of pride in the state of Nebraska, right here in Lincoln, and we branch out. That's really, really important to us. But we also know in the Big Ten, we have to be able to nationally recruit. So there is an element, have we been on the higher end of offers than, some places? Yeah, we have, just because of the different needs that we've had to be able to maybe get in the mix with a kid that's a national kid that, we want to have a chance for. And the national kid's not going to sit there and talk to a school if he doesn't have a scholarship offer. Why am I wasting my time? So there's a little bit of gamesmanship in that, that goes with the recruiting process, but when we recruit, locally and branch out, when we're offering a kid, we want those kids. We want, most kids that we offer, obviously at the end of the day, but we start with, I have my own running back board. Okay. So I go through it. It starts with our player personnel guy. It goes to me, and then I have my own board, and then Coach Frost has his board. So as we go through it, because I might think a kid is at this level and he may be like, no, I really like him, or no, he's down here. So at the end of the day, when we all as coaches are going through it, the Coach Frost board, that's the board that matters because he's the head coach. And those are the guys he truly, truly wants in the program, along with us and his position coaches working through that process. So we have to go national, just the way it is. I think we've done a better job recently, not, maybe offering as many kids, as we're really kind of narrowing our focus on the type of kids we feel like will make it at Nebraska, because not all kids are going to make it here. It's just the way it is. So we have to find the right kids that will fit our culture, will fit Nebraska, and fit what we're really wanting to get done as a football program. So we're more strategic in that. And, we're going into year 4 now, and have we made mistakes? Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, but we feel like we've made a lot of progress. We feel really good about where we're at, going in the weight room in our program with the kids that are in there. So we've had to tinker some things, tweak some things, but we feel like we're definitely where we want to be, and we'll continue to learn and grow in every year, like everybody else. What should a player ask? I mean, at the end of the day, like Coach Sandlin said, is it committable? How many guys you're taking? And we try to really be upfront as much as we can. Like, hey, listen, I'm probably going to take one kid this year. Now that could change if I lose a kid or an injury or whatever. Really try to be upfront. I get one spot, so here it is. If you're in, we're done, barring something that happens. So I think as much honesty as you can from that end helps in the recruiting process, so the kids kind of know where we're at. About we could have a kid committed and then he tells us he wants to go somewhere else. There's that goes on. That's part of the game. That's recruiting game. But as much as upfront as you can be with the kid, I think that'll help. And then the kid asking you those questions. But you got to sometimes have that tough deal of, hey, you snooze, you lose, you wait. Some kid committed and we don't have any more spots. And that's the business side that you hate those conversations. But unfortunately, we have all had those conversations.
Yeah, definitely. We only got a couple minutes left, so I want to hit on the topic that I think we'd all talked about a little bit before jumping on here, and that's the transfer portal. So talk to me a little bit about how each of your programs views that, both as a recruiting mechanism, but also as when you have a player transfer out, the high school coach, I assume, is going to be one of the primary contacts for some of those recruiters at whatever school they're going to end up. So help us understand what expectations you all should have for high school coaches and how we should maybe continue or not continue helping athletes get recruited post enrollment or post transfer. So Coach Held, we'll start with you and dive in on it.
Well, the transfer portal obviously has become the Wild West, so to speak. I'll say this, that I think kids, why do they get in it? There's various reasons kids get in the transfer portal. I think kids think when they get in the transfer portal that their phone's going to blow up and there's 56 offers they're going to come on the back end, which that just doesn't happen for most kids. So getting in the transfer portal, hopefully kids have game plans on what are they truly wanting to get done, because we don't all sit around with 10 initial scholarships being able to sign a bunch of guys. Now, again, the transfer portal, which we've taken advantage of. We signed 2 kids this year out of the transfer portal. We signed a running back from USC and we signed a receiver from Montana. So, that's something that we've taken advantage of it. So we're going to lose kids for various reasons, and we're going to be able to gain kids. That's just the way it is. I think, for us, we have a coach that's in charge of looking at the transfer portal daily, kind of like a waiver wire coach, so to speak. And then we have a text message thread of, okay, here are the guys that are in the portal. I feel like we should look at these individuals. And then it's up to the position coach to do the evaluation process. We'll get film on those guys. We don't contact them until we know they're definitely in the transfer portal, even though maybe something on the internet, I've entered it, but they still haven't. So you got to make sure you're following the rules there. And then, we'll look at it. And then if it's somebody that we're interested in, we'll contact the coach. Or if it's a kid that we remembered in the recruiting process, we'll call the coach. The thing about the transfer portal is a lot of times it's already decided before they even get in the transfer portal. So a kid might get in it and he already knows where he's going. One day I'm at this school and the next day I'm at this school. And I think we all as coaches know that. So there's a game behind the game with that deal. But it is another spot for us to look for players with JUCOs, transfer portal, obviously high school kids. It's just the way of the world, and we're going to all have to live with it. You're going to lose a kid in your program that you really, really like. That's the unfortunate deal. We're all going to deal with it. But at the end of the day, we want kids that want to be here. And if they leave, they didn't, for some whatever reason, we move on and we wish them well, and then we'll find somebody else.
I want to kind of jump down the levels because I think things change a little bit at your level, Coach Sandlin, too, in terms of eligibility and stuff like that. So I want to make sure we carve out some time at the end for that. But Coach Jackson, when you are, what role does that portal play for the Northern Illinois program, and kind of how do you advise coaches, players to be thinking about it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing the high school coaches and kids need to understand is, like, there's a stat out there that 400 less high school kids signed Division I scholarships this year than the previous year. And some of that is A lot of it's because of the transfer portal. As schools go heavier into the portal, even if colleges are taking 2 or 3 more transfers than they would have, as Coach Heldon mentioned, I mean, we only have so many initials. We only have so many scholarships. And it's not like we can just add and drop guys and, take guys whenever we want. So guys need to understand that high school kids need to understand that the transfer portal is affecting them as well. And with COVID, in COVID years and different things, and these guys being able to really not burn a year of eligibility, these signing classes, especially in 2022, are probably going to be smaller. For us, we're going to sign a smaller class than usual. So, really for class of 22 coaches and recruits, for them to understand that, spots are already coveted and limited. It may be even more so this year, so if you get an offer that you want, you have some opportunities that you feel good about to jump on those things. And, we look at it like this. We look at high school kids and recruiting as the draft. Our head coach is an NFL guy. We look at the transfer portal as free agency in terms of we needed a quarterback. There's a guy from Michigan State. We have a relationship with him previously. Okay. It's a fit. And then, the things that coach had mentioned as well, just tips on the transfer portal. High school coaches, it's good to obviously know that your college guys that are in the transfer portal are in there so you can help them. But even prior to them going into the portal, if one of your players reaches out to you and he's even talking to you about transfer and those things, really dig in on the why, because as coach had alluded to, it's not what it's cracked up to be in terms of you're going to go in there. It's not a recruiting service. It's not a database. There's thousands of kids out there that don't have a home right now because they thought they'd be able to just jump in and find a home. It doesn't work like that. There's going to be some legwork on the front end, probably, that with NCAA rules, you got to be careful of in terms of we can't reach out, to kids that aren't in the portal, and high school coaches that have kids that aren't in the portal yet. Until they're in there, there's really no communication, by rule. So you want to be careful with all those things and understand what's going to happen. But that's how we view the transfer portal. That's how we're going to attack it. We're really going to still go high school based first, and then be able to kind of use the transfer portal as a free agency deal. And we don't have the staff to, we have some guys that try to, keep up with the transfer portal, and we have some interns and those sort of things. But, just even for a lot of colleges, we don't have the staffing necessarily to keep up with all the different kids that are going in there. So that's kind of how we view the transfer portal and how we utilize it and thoughts on it.
Awesome. Coach Sandlin, wrap us up with your thoughts and what high school coaches can be doing to help.
I mean, I think, like Coach Held mentioned, we're doing a waiver every day. We're checking it every day because for us, I mean, you're going to drop down. Well, you can always drop down and be able to play right away. Obviously, with the new rules, you can go different divisions and stuff. But I think people don't realize, like Coach mentioned, it's not a green pasture going there. People see the Joe Burrow. They see that story. They're like, yes, I could do that same. That is not the everyday story. Let me just give you the stats. 2019, 2020 academic cycle. Let's just use that because all the stat and data is in there. 32% of the people that enter the transfer portal found a new home. 63% did not. Over 3,000, or almost right at 3,000, entered the transfer portal. And now I'm really interested this year. Think about all the kids that signed, and now they have the ability. Why don't they go through summer workouts and stuff, and they say, I don't like it here. I'm going to go to the other place, that my second choice. How many times is that going to happen? Now, they still get one-time transfer rule, but still, I'm real interested to see how that's going to happen. But they need to realize that the transfer portal is really, if a school's taking a transfer, this probably means they missed on a recruit, right? It's probably they had some recruiting mistakes, or they had some guys that are not playing for them right away, and they're looking. It's almost Band-Aid recruiting. That's what you're looking at. It's like, I got to get this guy in to help us win in this moment. But it doesn't always pan out either, because we've taken kids that have been transfers at large places. I remember taking a kid from LSU that was receiver. Well, he didn't even crack our starting rotation. And you have to do a great job of figuring out. We all ask the question. Everyone asks when you enter the portal. There's a reason he's transferring. And you got to figure out what that reason is, because we mentioned the grass is only greener where you water it, where you take care of it. And a lot of times it's what's making you transfer. Is there real reasons? Don't get me wrong, there are some real reasons why kids do have to leave. But then there's some of those other reasons where I ain't getting playing time, or I'm not getting this or stuff. And a lot of times it comes down to a lack of communication. Like, have you even talked to your coaches? No. Then once you start there, they didn't recruit you. They didn't sign you not to play you. We would have never used a scholarship, an initial, to bring you into a family, to bring you into a community, to want you to transfer, like I mentioned, to want you to never play, to never get a degree. No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. So a lot of times there's some really strong miscommunication that I would encourage the high school coach to have. Maybe they should call. Maybe they need to be a mediator to help them out, help their their former high school player out. But I really do feel like just dealing with it from the past 7 years and kids coming and leaving and all that kind of stuff. A lot of it is poor communication. And then a lot of times kids do get out recruited. It's the nature of the business. And again, like I mentioned, you bringing meat to the table. How much value? It's a competition. Our job is to continue to recruit kids and bring in new talent that can help create competition. That's not going to change. And then sometimes you get kids that are, like coaches mentioned earlier, no brainers that are going to be great forever. And I think that's why you have to do a really good job of diving in and investigating who these individuals are, because you could do a really good job trying to figure out who they are on the front end, because a lot of times that doesn't change. I mean, you heard it, a zebra doesn't change its stripes, a cheetah doesn't change its spots. You've heard a lot of that same talk before, because how they think, their behaviors, their mindsets, their perspectives are still going to be the same perspectives, mindsets, attitudes, and behaviors at the next location. What changed? Only the scenery, not the heart.
Awesome stuff from everyone. I really appreciate it. It seems like a common theme through everything was, hey, let's all start having honest conversations, the athlete, the coach, the high school coach, everybody. It's going to lead to more transparency and more information. Everybody will be able to make better decisions and be able to make some progress there. So I appreciate all of your feedback, coaches. Awesome stuff. Really appreciate you being part of this panel, and wish you all the best of luck. Coach Sandlin, I know you're playing right now, so wish you the best of luck and finishing out your season. And then Coach Held, Coach Jackson will obviously be followed really closely in the fall. So really appreciate you guys joining us, and best of luck to your programs.
Thank you for putting it together.
Craig, appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Nice to meet you all.
You too,
Nice meeting you guys.
Good
Take
luck,
care.
Coach. Bye.
Thank you.